You're reading these words right now, and that's not an accident. There's a reason this found you exactly when it did. Not a week ago, not a month from now, but in this precise moment. And here's what most people will never understand. The fact that you're here, absorbing these words, means something in your reality is already preparing to shift. Most people think transformation happens through effort, through pushing, striving, forcing reality to bend. They believe change requires struggle. But what if I told you that the most powerful shifts occur not through force, but through a single adjustment in your internal state? What if the universe has been listening to you all along, not to your words, but to something far deeper? Before you continue, comment below. I am ready to signal your intention to the field. Long before language emerged, before humanity named anything into being, there existed a silent intelligence woven through all of existence. That intelligence hasn't disappeared. It's still here, moving through every particle, every breath, every moment, responding not to what you do, but to what you are. This teaching has been passed down through generations, hidden in symbols and stories, whispered through the ages. It reveals something most people spend their entire lives overlooking. Creation doesn't begin with action. It doesn't even begin with thought alone. It begins with the inner orientation you hold toward existence itself. Within you exists an invisible field where intention, emotion, and expectation converge. This is where worlds take shape. This is where reality bends. You are not a spectator watching life unfold. You are a gravitational center, pulling circumstances, people, and outcomes towards you through the frequency you emit. Every belief you entertain, every feeling you inhabit sends a signal into the unseen structure of reality. And that structure responds with absolute precision, not as reward or punishment, but as law. When you exist in contraction, your world mirrors that tightness. When you rest in openness and trust, pathways reveal themselves without force. The transformation you're seeking isn't found in doing more. It's found in releasing the compulsion to control. It's a gentle turning inward, a surrender into coherence where struggle dissolves and power emerges organically. This wisdom is reaching you now because you're ready to remember. Your emotions aren't obstacles blocking your path. They're messengers guiding you back into harmony with what you desire. When inner peace replaces resistance, creation accelerates effortlessly. The power you've been searching for outside yourself has never lived anywhere else. It's been waiting beneath layers of conditioning and inherited patterns. As you absorb these words, you're being invited to reclaim your natural position in the dance of creation. Not as someone who begs the universe for favor, but as someone who moves in rhythm with it. Here begins the remembering. Here begins the transformation. In a quiet town where morning light painted golden squares across bakery windows, Millie worked her dough with anxious hands. Her shelves, once overflowing with fragrant creations, now held only scattered evidence of fading dreams. Some people are just born lucky, she'd whisper to herself, watching prosperity bloom across the street while her own register stayed silent. But the universe had planted something inside her heart, a seed of transformation. Through a chance meeting with an elderly woman who spoke of ancient creative principles, Millie discovered that her constant doubts were silent sculptors of her experience. Her persistent belief in scarcity had become a magnetic force, attracting more proof of her fears. As this understanding took root, Millie began noticing how her internal weather shaped each day's flow. When she anticipated emptiness, even her most aromatic pastries went unnoticed. But in moments when gratitude filled her chest, for the simple pleasure of creating, for the warmth radiating from her ovens, for the handful of loyal customers who returned, the universe answered with unexpected gifts of abundance. Not far away lived Emmett, whose daily mail route became an unexpected laboratory for understanding universal principles. Initially, his path seemed crowded with challenges: aggressive dogs, frustrated recipients, missing packages. But one morning, touched by inexplicable lightness, he noticed something remarkable. His smile was being mirrored in every face he encountered. Day after day, Emmett experimented with this discovery. When heaviness filled his heart, the world reflected his gloom. Yet when he carried sunshine in his awareness, doors opened wider, conversations grew warmer, and even the neighborhood animals greeted him with wagging tails. His postal route became living proof of the power of internal frequency. These stories reveal a timeless principle. The external world moves in rhythm with your inner state. Each thought, each feeling creates ripples through the cosmic web, summoning its reflection in physical form. As evening softens the day's edges, find a quiet moment to be present with what is. Breathe deeply and speak appreciation for your life exactly as it exists right now. Feel your breath as luminous energy moving through your chest, dissolving any seeds of lack. This isn't mere ritual. This is the art of living from abundance before abundance materializes. Practice this state of sufficiency until it becomes your natural frequency, and watch as the universe conspires to match your new vibration with tangible blessings. Through morning mist, Clara arranged roses in her small flower shop, their petals drooping despite her careful attention. Outside, delivery trucks rumbled past to supply the gleaming supermarket's floral section. Each time those trucks passed, her shoulders tightened, and the flowers seemed to mirror her tension, their stems bending as if carrying the weight of her concerns. Yet on days when Clara lost herself in pure creative joy, forgetting the shadows of comparison, something magical occurred. Her arrangements sparkled with vitality, each bloom lasting far beyond its natural lifespan. Customers would pause, drawn by an inexplicable radiance emanating from her window displays. The flowers weren't responding to her technical skill. They were responding to the frequency of her heart. This ancient truth whispers through all creation. Your vibration infuses everything you touch. The universe communicates not in words, but in resonance, answering the silent song of your being. When you align with the frequency of trust, rather than fear, of abundance rather than lack, the very atoms of existence begin dancing to your tune. Your every thought sends ripples through the field of infinite possibility. These ripples return as the circumstances of your life, reflecting with perfect precision the quality of your consciousness. This isn't magic. This is the fundamental language of creation itself. In a quiet village, Calvin spent his retirement crafting birdhouses, each one shaped by hands that had known wood for 5 decades. One autumn morning, while working in his garden shed, he found himself humming an old melody, his heart light with simple contentment. As his fingers moved across the wood, joy flowed into every joint and corner. Within days, birds he'd never seen before appeared, creatures of remarkable plumage and song. They chose his humble creation as their home, their rare beauty a mirror of the happiness he'd woven into its making. The universe had matched his frequency with living art, demonstrating how inner harmony manifests as outer grace. Let this wisdom guide your practice. Each morning before the world rushes in, attune to your own vibration. Feel it as music in your cells. Whether through gentle humming, conscious breathing, or a smile rising from deep within, allow your frequency to find its natural state of peace. This isn't a ritual to rush through. It's a remembering of your true nature. As you move through your day, let this resonance lead. Rather than forcing outcomes or fixing problems, maintain the melody of your aligned state. Your presence becomes a silent prayer, transforming ordinary moments into bridges between the seen and unseen. In this way, you learn the subtle art of manifestation, not through doing, but through being. This is the practice of vibrational mastery, to speak less and resonate more, allowing your energy to communicate directly with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all of life. Through this practice, each day becomes a symphony of synchronized creation, played through the instrument of your awakened consciousness. In an ancient stone building wedged between modern shops, Hattie's thrift store held treasures waiting to be discovered. Yet for years, customers merely browsed without purchasing, their faces reflecting the same weariness she felt in her heart. Dust gathered on shelves as steadily as doubt collected in her thoughts. Then one morning, something shifted. A cherished music box, long forgotten in the corner, began playing its melody. The unexpected tune sparked genuine joy in Hattie's heart, and she found herself laughing at this small surprise. At that precise moment, a customer entered and, to Hattie's amazement, immediately burst into warm laughter upon hearing the music. This customer not only purchased the music box, but returned the next day with friends. This pattern continued and deepened on days when Hattie's spirit soared, her shop filled with animated browsers who discovered unexpected treasures. When worry crept in, even her most loyal customers seemed to find only flaws. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, was showing her that each interaction served as a mirror, reflecting back the vibration she offered. Not far from Hattie's shop, Glenn spent his evenings at an easel, wrestling with colors that refused to blend as he envisioned. His paintings, once vibrant expressions of creativity, had become dull exercises in frustration. Each brushstroke carried the weight of his self-judgment, and the canvas faithfully reflected his inner struggle. One evening, abandoning all concern for technique or outcome, Glenn simply played with color like a child with their first paint set. As his grip on perfection loosened, something remarkable occurred. The paintings began to glow with an inner light. The more he released his attachment to results, the more naturally beauty flowed through his brush. These stories whisper a fundamental truth. The world you experience isn't fixed. It's fluid, responding moment by moment to your inner state. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter serves as a mirror reflecting the vibration you emanate. When you approach life with judgment, judgment returns. When you offer love, love multiplies. Take a moment and share below. What's one old pattern or belief you're ready to release after hearing this? What's shifting for you right now? Before reacting to any situation that arises, pause and imagine yourself standing before a mirror. Ask gently, what aspect of myself is being revealed here for healing? Smile with compassion at whatever surfaces. Then, with deliberate grace, shift your attention from any perceived flaw to the frequency of appreciation. Let each reflection serve not as punishment, but as polish, gradually revealing your inner light. This practice transforms every encounter into a sacred message wrapped in the energy you yourself have sent forth. Each moment becomes an invitation to allow a higher vibration to emerge through you, creating a new reflection in the mirror of life. The truth you're uncovering now lay dormant in countless healing rooms, where Elsie, a dedicated nurse, witnessed the subtle power of gentle speech. In the sterile corridors of her hospital ward, she noticed a peculiar pattern emerging. Patients in rooms where she spoke with measured tenderness showed remarkably swifter recoveries than those she attended with clinical detachment. Each soft-spoken encouragement seemed to ripple through the invisible field surrounding her patients. Their vital signs would stabilize, their spirits would lift, and their bodies would respond as if answering a loving invitation to heal. This revelation illuminates a fundamental principle. Your words carry energetic instructions that shape the fabric of reality itself. When you grasp this truth, you understand that authority in the law of attraction flows not from forceful demands, but from gentle certainty. The universe responds not to the volume of your request, but to the clarity of your vibration. Command in its highest form isn't an exercise of control. It's an expression of unwavering knowing. Vernon, a musician struggling to find his place in a competitive industry, embodied this wisdom unknowingly. Night after night, he desperately affirmed his success, each declaration tinged with anxiety and urgency. The universe remained silent. Then, inspired by an inner knowing, he changed his approach. Instead of demanding opportunities, he began whispering his dreams with compassionate acceptance. "Music flows through me naturally," he'd say with quiet conviction. "The perfect opportunities align effortlessly." His words carried no trace of desperation, only serene certainty. Within weeks, invitations to perform began arriving without effort. Venues reached out to him, and collaborations formed organically. The shift in his experience arose not from what he said, but from how he said it. Throughout your day, notice the quality of your inner dialogue. Replace demanding language with allowing language. Feel the energetic difference between "this must happen now" and "this unfolds perfectly." Choose the latter and breathe into its spaciousness. Let rigid expectation dissolve into trusting acceptance. The practice is to remember that miracles prefer gentle invitations to urgent demands. The universe responds most gracefully to soft commands whispered with unwavering faith. Your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. Let them be spoken with the tender authority of one who knows that what is sought is already found. In a small accounting office at the edge of town, Mabel spent her mornings listing deficits, empty spaces where abundance should be. Each dawn brought the same ritual, counting what was lacking, measuring the distance between her reality and her dreams. Until one morning, when sunlight caught the rim of her coffee cup, creating a perfect golden circle on her desk. That simple moment awakened something within her. Instead of tabulating absences, she began noting presences, the warmth of morning light, the aroma of fresh coffee, the steady rhythm of her own breath. With each acknowledgement, her world began to shift, not through addition, but through recognition. The universe operates through an ancient arithmetic that transcends human calculation. Gratitude isn't a debt to be paid, but a frequency to be attuned to. When you express thanks, you align with the natural flow of abundance that has always surrounded you. This alignment magnetizes more reasons for appreciation, creating a self-sustaining cycle of prosperity. Your focus is a subtle yet potent force. What you acknowledge expands, not through effort, but through the law of resonance. Each genuine expression of thanks plants an invisible seed that grows in ways your logical mind cannot predict. The harvest may appear in unexpected forms: a timely opportunity, a meaningful connection, an insight that transforms limitation into possibility. This truth found its echo in Floyd's garden, where wisdom bloomed among the weeds. The elderly gardener discovered that resistance to what is creates the very obstacles you wish to overcome. Each morning before tending his plants, he would thank the weeds for their lessons in persistence, their reminder of nature's balance. Even unwanted growth, he'd say, teaches us about wanted abundance. As weeks passed, his garden transformed. The vegetables grew more vibrant, the flowers more abundant. The weeds, rather than overwhelming his beds, seemed to find their proper place in the ecosystem. His gratitude had shifted the entire garden's energy, turning every challenge into nourishment for growth. These ancient teachings reveal that gratitude acts as a solvent, dissolving the barriers between you and your desires. It neutralizes judgment, transforming what appears as imperfection into fertile soil for new possibilities. When you thank the universe for what is, you open the gateway for what can be. As each day draws to a close, sit quietly in your space. Speak aloud 5 moments of grace you witnessed: a kind word from a stranger, the perfect timing of a green light, the song that played exactly when you needed it. Don't strain for grand miracles. Let the small ones shine their light. Feel how each expression of thanks ripples through the air like sacred incense, blessing your space with the energy of appreciation. Let gratitude become your breath, as natural and necessary as oxygen. With each inhalation, recognize another gift the universe has placed along your path. With each exhalation, release your appreciation into the field that connects all things. This simple practice rewires your relationship with life itself, transforming every moment into an opportunity for abundance to reveal itself. In a small coastal village where waves whispered ancient secrets, Sadie filled notebooks with verses of heartache and longing. Each poem emerged as a testament to loss, until she noticed how her words shaped not just paper, but the very fabric of her experience. The more she wrote of sorrow, the more life matched her melancholy melody. Through this awakening, you begin to understand that emotions aren't mere responses to life. They are the architects of your reality. Your feelings serve as precise instruments, delicate compasses pointing toward or away from your natural state of alignment with Source. When you resist an emotion, you anchor yourself in its frequency. When you welcome it as information, it transforms into guidance. Just as a ship's navigator reads the stars, your emotional wisdom reads the subtle currents of creation. Joy isn't simply a destination. It's the very wind that fills your sails. Sadness isn't a barrier. It's a signal requesting a gentle turn of the wheel. On the same shore where Sadie penned her revelations, Leon cast his nets each dawn. For years, he battled the sea's moods, until he recognized that the waters mirrored his own inner weather. When anxiety clouded his thoughts, the waves grew restless and his nets returned empty. But on mornings when he approached the ocean with the lightness of trust, with anticipation sparkling in his heart, the sea seemed to dance with him, offering its bounty freely. His discovery mirrors a universal truth. Your emotional state doesn't just color your perception, it shapes the very field of possibilities around you. When you surrender to uplifting emotions, you don't just feel better. You become a bridge between what is and what could be. When discomfort arises in your being, resist the urge to fight or flee. Instead, turn toward it with gentle curiosity. Let the feeling be your teacher. Notice how it sits in your body, then consciously reach for a slightly better feeling. Perhaps from anxiety to simple quiet, from anger to neutrality, from despair to hope. Like climbing a ladder of light, move gradually toward emotions that lift and liberate. Feel how each step upward shifts not just your inner landscape, but the very atmosphere around you. This isn't about forcing positivity. It's about following the natural current that always flows toward well-being. The practice is to become a conscious navigator of your emotional waters, letting each feeling guide you closer to your essential harmony with Source. As you attune to this inner compass, watch how outer circumstances begin to reflect your journey toward joy. In the heart of an ancient artisan district, Pearl sat before her empty canvas day after day. Each time inspiration beckoned, the whispered words, "I can't," would drift through her mind, and her brushes would grow heavy in her hands. Her shoulders would slump, her energy would drain, and another day would pass without a single stroke of color. Your words carry a vibrational signature that ripples through the quantum field of infinite possibility. Each phrase you speak or think emanates an energetic pattern that the universe receives as a command. When you declare, "I can't," you transmit a frequency of limitation that solidifies into experience. The words you choose become the bones of your reality, the foundation upon which your manifestations build themselves. The law of attraction responds not just to your conscious intentions, but to the subtle energy woven into your daily vocabulary. Words like struggle, hard, or impossible act as anchors, holding you in patterns that mirror their meaning. Conversely, words of possibility, flowing, unfolding, allowing, create channels through which new realities can emerge. In the bustling marketplace of life, Walter discovered this truth through his small grocery store. Once he would sigh and say, "It's been so busy I can barely keep up." He began greeting each inquiry with, "The store blooms with abundance today." His new linguistic pattern carried the energy of prosperity rather than overwhelm. Within weeks, his shelves seemed to clear themselves with graceful efficiency, and restocking became a joy rather than a burden. His words had reshaped not just his perception, but the very flow of commerce through his store. This truth echoes through the chambers of your own life. Each word you speak is a seed planted in the fertile soil of potential. The universe doesn't judge your words as positive or negative. It simply matches their energetic signature with unwavering precision. Your practice now calls for conscious attention to the words that shape your hours. When you catch yourself saying, "I have to," pause and reshape it into, "I choose to." Transform "I'm afraid" into, "I'm learning." Let "I don't know how" become, "I'm discovering the way." Sit quietly each morning and evening. Listen to the phrases that frequent your inner dialogue. For each limiting expression you uncover, craft an alternative that opens rather than closes, that lifts rather than weighs down. Write these new phrases in your journal, feeling their resonance as you form each letter. Speak them aloud, letting their vibration ripple through your being. The practice is to treat your words as sacred instruments of creation. Choose them with the care of an artist selecting colors, knowing that each one contributes to the masterpiece of your manifesting power. Let your vocabulary become a garden of possibility, where each phrase plants seeds of the reality you wish to grow. Comment below with one phrase you're choosing to repeat daily that aligns with the reality you're calling in. Let it be your verbal anchor. When Pearl finally replaced "I can't" with "I am creating," her artistic energy awakened. The simple shift in language transformed her relationship with the canvas, and paintings began to emerge effortlessly. This truth echoes across all dimensions of existence. Your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of universal intelligence. Take a moment now and comment below with this phrase: "My words create worlds." Let that declaration ripple through the field. In a small market on the edge of town, Walter greeted each customer with carefully chosen words of abundance. Where others might say, "Business is slow," he would smile and say, "Prosperity is building." When asked about his workload, rather than claiming to be busy, he would beam and declare, "Abundance flows through these aisles." Within weeks, his shelves required constant restocking as customers multiplied, drawn by the magnetic frequency of his words. His experience exemplifies how linguistic vibration orchestrates the dance of circumstance. The universe responds not to empty wishes, but to the energetic signature of your everyday speech. Each word you utter sends ripples through the field of possibility, attracting experiences that match its frequency. This wisdom extends beyond mere positive thinking. It invites you to become conscious of the vibrational quality of your speech, to recognize that each word carries power beyond its dictionary definition. When you speak of lack, you tune your energy to that frequency. When you speak of abundance, you align with its flow. Take a moment now to observe the words that frequent your thoughts and conversations. Notice how they feel as they form in your mind and leave your lips. Do they constrict or expand? Do they drain or energize? Replace phrases born of limitation with those that resonate with possibility. Throughout your day, craft sentences that feel like sunlight. Let your words carry the frequency of what you wish to create. Speak as if the universe leans in close, taking careful dictation of your tone and intention. This practice transforms your vocabulary into a bridge between potential and manifestation, between the unseen and the seen. In a small coastal town, Dot watched others prosper while her own dreams seemed forever distant. Each morning she opened her modest stationery shop, convinced that abundance flowed around her, but never toward her. What she didn't realize was that this very conviction acted as an invisible barrier, deflecting the very prosperity she yearned to embrace. The universe operates through an ancient and unwavering principle. Belief is the spiritual currency through which all manifestation flows. Just as traditional currency enables exchange in the physical world, your beliefs facilitate the exchange between thought and reality. Every conviction you hold becomes a spiritual investment, multiplying in precise accordance with its nature. When you declare yourself unworthy of abundance, the universe honors this declaration with mathematical precision. Yet this same principle works in reverse. When you recognize your inherent worthiness, you activate a divine exchange that transforms your inner wealth into outer experience. Consider how Clyde, a dedicated teacher at a struggling inner-city school, shifted this principle into action. Rather than fixating on limited resources, he began affirming that every act of kindness would return as prosperity. He didn't force this belief. He simply allowed it to settle into his consciousness like a seed finding fertile soil. As his conviction deepened, unexpected changes began to unfold. Anonymous donors appeared with supplies for his classroom. His students, sensing his authentic belief in abundance, began to excel beyond expectations. Soon the school board noticed his class's transformation and rewarded him with bonuses he hadn't sought. The law of attraction responds not to what you wish for, but to what you energetically accept as true. Your beliefs are spiritual agreements with the universe, setting the parameters for what can manifest in your experience. When you adjust these agreements, reality must reorganize itself to match your new vibration. Find a quiet moment and bring to mind one persistent doubt about abundance. Perhaps it's "I never have enough," or "money always eludes me." Now craft a new declaration that feels both authentic and expansive. Rather than forcing yourself to believe something that feels false, choose words that spark a gentle sense of possibility. Speak this new truth softly to yourself each morning, letting it sink into your being like warm sunlight. Feel how your body responds to this kinder narrative. The aim isn't to convince yourself, but to allow a new truth to take root naturally, until prosperity feels as normal as breathing. This practice isn't about denying current circumstances. It's about opening new channels through which abundance can flow. Treat each belief as precious currency, investing wisely in thoughts that appreciate in value. Let your convictions become the golden thread that weaves prosperity into the fabric of your daily experience. In a bustling city market, Ivy stood behind her flower stall, hands trembling with exhaustion. From dawn until dusk, she pushed herself relentlessly, believing that success could only be earned through ceaseless labor. Her arrangements were beautiful, yet her spirit wilted under the weight of perpetual strain. Each sale felt like a battle won through sheer force of will, until one morning, when fatigue finally brought her to stillness. In this sacred pause, a profound truth emerged. The universe operates through effortless flow, not endless struggle. Just as water naturally finds its path, abundance moves through channels of ease. Your role isn't to force reality into submission, but to align with the natural current of creation. When you release the belief that worth must be proven through strain, a new way of being awakens. The law of attraction responds not to the volume of your effort, but to the clarity of your alignment. Each time you choose flow over force, you open yourself to grace beyond striving. In a quiet workshop across town, Harold, a skilled mechanic, discovered this same principle through his own journey. For years, he attacked each repair with intense concentration, his brow furrowed in determination. Yet the more he pushed, the more parts seemed to resist his touch. One afternoon, frustrated by a particularly stubborn engine, he stepped back and took a deep breath. As tension left his body, something shifted. His hands moved with newfound precision, guided by an inner knowing rather than outer force. What had seemed impossible moments before resolved itself with surprising simplicity. Harold's experience mirrors a universal truth. When you release the grip of struggle, solutions arise naturally. The same power that orchestrates planets and seasons stands ready to work through you, not through strain, but through surrender to its perfect flow. Before beginning any task, pause until you feel the shift from urgency to enthusiasm. Let your breath deepen until peace replaces pressure. Move only when guided by this inner ease. Notice how solutions appear more readily, how doors open without forcing, how life responds to your relaxed attention. Float downstream with the current of grace, knowing that the universe's momentum carries you more swiftly than any amount of pushing ever could. If this content is touching something in you, shifting the way you see reality itself, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this frequency, this space where consciousness expands and truth reveals itself. This isn't about collecting videos. It's about joining a movement of awakening. In a small workshop filled with the warm glow of candlelight, Lahi poured her heart into each creation. Her hands moved swiftly, measuring wicks and melting wax with determined intensity. She believed that success demanded constant motion, endless effort, and relentless drive. Yet the more she pushed, the more her flames seemed to flicker and fade. One evening, as she rushed to complete a large order, something extraordinary occurred. Every candle she lit extinguished itself one by one, as if nature itself were whispering a message. In that darkness, a deeper understanding dawned. The very force she applied to make things happen was suffocating the natural flow of energy. Within this stillness, the wisdom emerges. Allowance isn't passive resignation, but active trust in the universe's perfect timing. When you cease wrestling with life's rhythm, you become a clear channel through which abundance naturally flows. Your role isn't to force the river, but to remove the debris of doubt and resistance that blocks its course. Just as light needs space to shine, manifestation requires room to unfold. Each time you release your grip on outcomes, you create space for unexpected blessings to arrive. The universe operates through attraction, not through force, through magnetic resonance rather than mechanical effort. In another part of town, Rufus began his career in real estate with the same pushing energy that many bring to new ventures. His days were consumed by tracking numbers, chasing leads, and anxiously checking his phone. Yet success remained elusive, slipping away like a shadow he couldn't catch. Then one morning, he made a radical choice. Instead of fixating on future sales, he chose to feel the abundance that already surrounded him. The sunrise through his office window, the coffee warming his hands, the potential in each new day. He released his death grip on outcomes and simply allowed himself to be present in the flow of life. Within days, his phone began to ring. Clients appeared as if by magic, drawn to his newfound ease. His story illuminates the paradox at the heart of creation. The less you force, the more naturally success flows toward you. Find a quiet moment and imagine yourself as open air welcoming gentle wind. Feel how the air doesn't struggle or strain. It simply allows movement to flow through it. Breathe deeply into this state of non-resistance. When challenges arise, practice softening around them rather than pushing against them. Let life surprise you with its timing and methods. In this surrender lies your greatest power, the ability to become one with the natural flow of abundance that has always been moving toward you. Belle lived in a small coastal village where she crafted wind chimes from sea glass and driftwood. For years, she dismissed the patterns that emerged in her life as mere chance. Yet something shifted when she began consciously cultivating joy in her morning meditations. Suddenly, the perfect pieces of sea glass would wash ashore just as she envisioned them. Customers would appear seeking exactly the wind chime designs she dreamed of creating. This truth echoes through the ages. Life speaks in the language of synchronicity. When your thoughts align with the frequency of joy, the universe responds with a cascade of corresponding events. These aren't random occurrences, but conscious communications from the field of infinite possibility. Each coincidence serves as confirmation that you are in harmony with the universal flow. What you perceive as chance is actually the cosmos mirroring your inner state. When you attune yourself to joy, gratitude, and expectation of good, life orchestrates itself to match that vibration. The signs appear as breadcrumbs along your path, guiding you toward your highest expression. Oscar's story illuminates this principle with elegant simplicity. His small bookshop sat quietly on a tree-lined street, and he often spent peaceful moments imagining his shelves as repositories of wisdom, waiting to find their perfect readers. Rather than worrying about sales, he would close his eyes and envision joyful exchanges, picturing each book finding its destined owner. Soon, the most remarkable pattern emerged. Customers began arriving with questions that perfectly matched the books he'd just been thinking about. A grieving widow would appear just as he'd been contemplating a healing memoir. A struggling entrepreneur would walk in right after he'd arranged a display of business wisdom texts. The books seemed to call their readers home through the power of his aligned thinking. This dance of synchronicity demonstrates that when we release rigid control and allow ourselves to flow with inspired thought, we participate in a grander choreography. The universe delights in surprising us with evidence that we are heard, supported, and guided. To enhance your awareness of this cosmic conversation, pause throughout your day to notice the subtle signs and symbols that surround you. Perhaps it's the repeated number sequence that catches your eye, or the perfect parking spot that opens just as you arrive, or the chance encounter that leads to an unexpected opportunity. These moments aren't random. They're responses to your energetic broadcast. When synchronicities appear, acknowledge them with a smile of recognition. Let each one strengthen your trust in the invisible support that surrounds you. The more you appreciate these signs, the more frequently they will appear, creating an ongoing dialogue between your consciousness and the universe. The practice is to treat every meaningful coincidence as a love letter from the cosmos, confirming that you are seen, heard, and moving in harmony with life's greater purpose. As you cultivate this awareness, you'll find yourself living in a state of perpetual wonder, where every moment holds the potential for magic, and every sign points toward your expanding good. Now, what we've explored today, this understanding of vibrational alignment, of gratitude as frequency, of words as creative force, these are foundational principles, but they're part of a much larger system of consciousness mastery. If you're feeling the resonance of this and want to go deeper into the complete quantum framework, I've created Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. It walks you through the 9 master frequencies that transform you from someone seeking to manifest into someone who simply is the manifestation. From unconscious transmission to becoming the conscious broadcast itself. You'll find it linked in the pinned comment below. In a bustling market square, Nora arranged her handcrafted jewelry with hurried movements, checking her watch repeatedly. Each morning she would rush to set up her stall before sunrise, believing that earlier meant better sales. Yet despite her diligence, customers seemed to walk past her beautiful creations, drawn instead to vendors who arrived later, but moved with unhurried grace. One particularly frustrating morning, as she fumbled with her display in the pre-dawn darkness, she knocked over an entire row of necklaces. As she knelt to gather them, she noticed how the rising sun caught each crystal, creating patterns of light on the ground. For the first time in years, she paused to watch the light dance. The universe speaks through subtle signs, And in that moment of stillness, Nora glimpsed a profound truth. Alignment precedes achievement. Just as a musician tunes their instrument before playing, your energy must harmonize with your intentions before taking action. When you rush ahead without inner preparation, you carry discord into your endeavors. Each action becomes a struggle against the natural flow, like swimming upstream. Yet when you first attune your vibration to the frequency of your desire, circumstances arrange themselves with surprising ease. This truth manifested beautifully through Chester, who taught dance at the local studio. For years, he'd begun each class by immediately launching into technical instruction. His students, though dedicated, often seemed to move mechanically, their steps precise but lacking spirit. One day, Chester arrived early and sat quietly in his studio, allowing himself to feel the rhythm of the music before his students arrived. As he centered himself in this peaceful state, something shifted. When class began, his instructions flowed more naturally, and his students moved with newfound harmony. The dance became less about memorized steps and more about shared joy and motion. Each morning after that, Chester made time for this quiet attunement. His classes transformed from mere instruction to flowing celebrations of movement. Students who'd struggled for months suddenly found their rhythm, as if the dance had been within them all along, waiting for permission to emerge. Before undertaking any significant action, create a moment of sacred stillness. Sit quietly and breathe until you feel your energy align with your intention. Notice how resistance melts when you approach life from this centered space. Let each breath draw you deeper into harmony with your desires until action feels less like pushing and more like allowing. This isn't preparation in the ordinary sense. It's spiritual attunement, the invisible foundation of effortless manifestation. Before we continue, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. In a small coastal village, Viola walked along empty beaches, wondering why love seemed to visit her life in fleeting moments. She noticed how some days brought warmth and connection, while others felt hollow and distant. Through countless sunsets spent in solitude, she continued searching outside herself for the affection she yearned to find. Then one morning, as waves gentled against the shore, understanding dawned like the first ray of sunlight across still waters. Love wasn't a force that came and went. It was an energy she already possessed, waiting to be recognized and released. The moment she began radiating love without seeking it in return, her world transformed. The universe speaks in frequencies, and none resonates more powerfully than love. This isn't mere sentiment. It's the fundamental creative force that shapes reality itself. When you attune your being to love's vibration, you activate the most potent magnetic field available to consciousness. Like a lighthouse whose beam reaches far beyond its physical structure, your heart's energy extends infinitely further than your body's boundaries. In another part of town, Daryl delivered mail along the same route he'd walked for 20 years. After losing his beloved wife, his days had grown gray and mechanical. But something shifted when he began a simple practice. As he approached each mailbox, he would pause briefly, sending a silent blessing of love to the household. He didn't expect anything in return. He simply offered this gift freely, like scattering invisible seeds of light. Within weeks, his route transformed. People who'd never noticed him before stepped out to chat. Gardens seemed to bloom more vibrantly along his path. Children would wave from windows, and elderly residents began leaving him cups of tea. The love he extended returned, multiplied, creating a web of connection that lifted his grief and restored his joy. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your physical form. This isn't metaphor. It's measurable science that ancient wisdom has always known. When you consciously direct this field with love, you create a sphere of positive influence that naturally attracts similar frequencies. Each morning, as the sun rises, expand your awareness beyond your body's edges. Feel your heart's warmth radiating outward like golden light, touching everything in its path with gentle benediction. Let this field of love precede you into every room, every conversation, every circumstance. The practice is to move through life as a living broadcast of compassion, knowing that what you emit inevitably returns, transformed into miracles. In a bustling market square, June arranged her flower stand each morning precisely at 7. She meticulously planned every detail, from the moment she would purchase fresh blooms to the exact minute she expected customers to arrive. Yet despite her careful calculations, her carefully orchestrated plans often unraveled. Deliveries came late. Regular customers changed their schedules, and unexpected weather disrupted her precise timing. The universe speaks through the language of perfect timing, though its schedule rarely aligns with human planning. When you release the grip of control, you activate a higher orchestration, one that arranges circumstances far more elegantly than personal will could achieve. Your role isn't to force the timing of manifestation, but to maintain the vibration of trust that allows it to unfold naturally. As you learn to surrender the when and how, you'll discover that divine timing operates with an intelligence beyond logical comprehension. Each delay contains a gift. Each setback positions you precisely where you need to be. The universe neither rushes nor lags. It moves with immaculate precision, weaving countless threads into a tapestry you can only fully appreciate in retrospect. Guy, a watchmaker known for his precise schedules, experienced this truth firsthand. For decades, he lived by rigid routines, believing that control ensured success. When illness forced him to abandon his careful planning, he initially resisted. Yet as he learned to flow with each day's natural rhythm, he noticed something remarkable. Without his imposed structure, perfect timing seemed to guide his every move. Customers arrived exactly when he had the energy to serve them. Parts he needed appeared just as he required them. His work, rather than suffering from lack of strict scheduling, took on an effortless quality. This truth extends beyond individual experience. It's woven into the very fabric of creation. Just as flowers bloom at their appointed time, just as tides rise and fall in perfect sequence, your desires manifest according to divine orchestration. Your task isn't to push against this natural order, but to align with its flow. Throughout the day, whisper, "Everything unfolds perfectly," until resistance softens. Let this gentle reminder dissolve the urge to control outcomes or rush results. The practice is to rest spiritually even while dreaming boldly, knowing that the perfect moment for each manifestation already exists in the infinite mind of the universe. A wise woman once told of Olive, who spent her days crafting intricate pottery in a small workshop beneath twisted olive trees. Though her hands shaped beauty from clay, she saw herself as merely a vessel for limitation. "I am just a simple potter," she would say, shrinking her spirit to fit the story she believed about herself. One tranquil dawn, as sunlight filtered through leaves to dance upon her wet clay, Olive experienced a moment of profound awakening. As she watched her hands move, she suddenly realized she wasn't the hands, nor the thoughts about the hands, but the vast awareness observing it all. In that instant, her identity expanded beyond the small self she'd imagined into the infinite field of consciousness that held all possibility. Your identity isn't the story you tell about yourself, but the awareness that witnesses all stories. When you recognize yourself as the space in which experience unfolds, rather than the limited character in the drama, your vibration naturally elevates to match this expanded truth. Like a wave remembering it is the ocean, this remembrance allows greater currents of creation to flow through you. Morris, who dreamed of flying since childhood, stood frozen before his first solo flight. Fear gripped him until he closed his eyes and saw himself as the vast sky rather than the nervous pilot. In his imagination, he merged with the capable aviator he knew himself to be. As he opened his eyes, that expanded self stepped naturally into the cockpit, and fear dissolved into the certainty of already accomplished mastery. The plane and pilot moved as one beneath clouds that seemed to welcome him home. This tale mirrors the truth that your current expression is but one note in an infinite symphony. When you release the confined identity you've held, life responds with experiences that match your newly remembered vastness. As the sun rises each morning, sit quietly and envision your highest self seated before you, radiating wisdom and unlimited potential. See the smile of knowing in their eyes, the peace in their presence. Gradually allow yourself to merge with this expanded version of you, feeling their certainty become your own. Let their vastness fill your cells until no separation remains between who you are now and who you've always been beneath the stories. Move through your day from this expanded awareness, letting each action flow from your remembered wholeness rather than learned limitation. The practice is to live from the truth that you aren't becoming something new, but remembering who you have always been. Consciousness itself wearing the costume of human form for this beautiful dance of life. In a quaint village where cobblestone streets whispered stories of old, Ruby spent her mornings running a small antique shop. Each day, like clockwork, her thoughts would spin tales of scarcity. What if no customers come today? The shop across the street seems busier. Perhaps I'm not meant for success. These worries played endlessly, a discordant melody that colored her world in muted tones. Your thoughts aren't mere whispers in the wind. They're instruments in the grand orchestra of creation. Each thought strikes a note in the universal symphony, sending ripples through the fabric of existence. When you allow worries to play unchecked, they become the dominant theme of your life's music, drowning out the natural harmony of abundance that surrounds you. The universe responds not to your words or actions alone, but to the frequency of your thoughts. Like a radio tower broadcasting without pause, your mind sends signals that shape the very essence of your experience. When your mental melody flows with notes of lack, struggle, or fear, life arranges itself to match this somber tune. Yet within you lies the power to conduct a different symphony. Through conscious choice, you can lift your thoughts from the depths of worry to the heights of possibility. This isn't forced positivity, but rather a gentle tuning of your mental instruments to play in harmony with universal abundance. In a neighboring town lived Claudina, whose voice had graced the local choir for decades. Between songs, she discovered the power of silence, those precious moments when no note needed to be sung. In these pauses, she found life's rhythm flowing most purely. Soon her days began to mirror these peaceful intervals, bringing unexpected gifts and opportunities in their wake. Her story reveals that mastery of manifestation lies not just in choosing better thoughts, but in allowing spaces between them. These moments of quiet become the canvas upon which the universe paints its miracles. As you move through each day, become aware of the music playing in your mind. Notice how certain thoughts feel heavy and dissonant, while others lift your spirit like a soaring melody. The choice of which notes to play always rests with you. Find a quiet moment each morning before the world's noise begins. Close your eyes and listen to the current song of your thoughts. Without judgment, notice their tone and tempo. Then deliberately introduce thoughts of gratitude one by one, like gentle notes in a new composition. Feel how your entire being resonates differently with this conscious shift in mental melody. Let this new harmony become the background music of your day, playing softly beneath every action and interaction. Louise walked through life carrying an invisible paintbrush, her smile. Each morning, as she made her way through the marketplace, she offered a genuine warmth to every face she encountered. Not the practiced grin of social courtesy, but the authentic radiance that springs from recognizing the divine in each passing soul. Unknown to her, this simple act was rearranging the very fabric of her reality, shifting particles and possibilities toward grace. When you truly understand the physics of consciousness, you discover that every smile is a force of transformation. Your facial muscles don't merely stretch, they send ripples through the quantum field, instructing atoms to dance in new patterns. This isn't metaphor, but mechanics. The ancient wisdom keepers knew what modern physics now confirms. Consciousness shapes reality at its most fundamental level. Each genuine expression of joy releases waves of coherent energy that travel far beyond your visible reach. These waves interact with the field of infinite possibility, gently nudging circumstances toward harmony. Your smile becomes a tuning fork, adjusting the frequency of your entire experiential universe. If this is landing for you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps this reach others who are ready for it. At Earl's Corner Diner, this truth found its own expression. Earl, who'd cooked there for 20 years, discovered that breakfast wasn't just about eggs and coffee. It was about energy. He began infusing each dish with playful intention, humming as he worked, letting joy season every meal. Soon, customers reported feeling unusually uplifted after their morning visits. They couldn't explain why his simple diner felt different from others, but they kept returning, drawn by an invisible warmth that nourished more than their bodies. Earl's story reveals how consciousness transforms ordinary moments into portals of possibility. His kitchen became a laboratory of light where the simple act of cooking with joy altered the very taste of reality. The loyalty of his patrons wasn't just about the food, it was about the frequency he embedded in every plate. Find a quiet moment and sit comfortably. Allow your face to relax completely. Then slowly let a genuine smile blossom from within, not forced, but felt. Feel how this simple adjustment creates a subtle shift in your entire energy field. Notice how your cells seem to sparkle with renewed vitality. Maintain this smile for several minutes, imagining it radiating outward like sunlight, touching everything in your sphere. This isn't mere expression, it's creation in motion. In a bustling cafe, Faye served tables with simmering resentment. convinced that difficult customers deliberately sought her section. Each morning brought fresh evidence that the world conspired against her happiness. The rushed businessman who barely acknowledged her presence. The picky woman who sent back perfectly prepared meals. The teenagers who left meager tips. Yet transformation dawned quietly one autumn morning. As Faye muttered complaints under her breath about an especially demanding table, wisdom whispered through her consciousness. The harsh words she spoke about others echoed the critical voice she used against herself. The impatience she perceived reflected her own inner hurry. The rejection she felt mirrored her self-judgment. The universal law reveals that every relationship serves as a classroom for vibrational mastery. What appears as external conflict simply reflects internal discord seeking resolution. When you shift your inner dialogue from criticism to compassion, the outer world must realign to match this new frequency. Alton discovered this truth in his small barbershop on Main Street. For years, he weathered constant disputes, customers arguing about wait times, stylists bickering over stations, tensions crackling through the mirror-lined space. Until one day, bone-weary from the discord, he began a simple practice of self-approval. Each morning before opening shop, Alton stood before his mirror and spoke words of appreciation to his reflection. "You're doing your best," he would say. "Your work brings value. You are worthy of respect and success." Gradually, the atmosphere in his shop transformed. Customers grew more patient, staff more cooperative. The mirrors that once reflected discord now shone with harmony. His experience unveils an essential truth. The quality of your relationships directly reflects your relationship with yourself. As within, so without. The world responds not to what you demand of it, but to the vibration you emanate. When discord appears in your experience, pause before reaction. Look upon the person before you as a mirror revealing what seeks healing within. Breathe deeply and offer blessing to the reflection. Ask yourself, what part of me needs love in this moment? Let forgiveness flow first to yourself, then naturally extend to the other. Remember that every interaction offers an opportunity to polish the mirror of consciousness until it gleams with unconditional acceptance. Through this gentle practice, you transform relationships from battlegrounds into sanctuaries of growth. Each encounter becomes an invitation to deepen self-love, allowing the outer world to reflect back the peace you cultivate within. In a small artisan market, Della stood behind her handmade jewelry display, her shoulders tensed with each approaching customer. When someone praised her intricate metalwork, she would quickly dismiss the compliment. "Oh, it's nothing special," or "I'm still learning." With each deflection, she noticed potential buyers walking away, their interest fading as quickly as her words. The universe speaks through the language of exchange. When you deny a gift, whether it arrives as a compliment, an opportunity, or a material blessing, you send ripples of resistance into the field of creation. This resistance becomes a pattern, training the universal flow to bypass rather than bless. Consider how a river moves. It neither pushes nor pulls, but flows naturally, where acceptance creates space. Similarly, the current of abundance seeks those who stand ready to receive. Your willingness to accept goodness isn't pride. It's alignment with the natural order of giving and receiving. Norris discovered this truth in his modest sculpture studio. For years, he dismissed praise of his work, believing humility meant diminishing his talent. His pieces remained unsold, gathering dust despite their beauty. One day, when a visitor exclaimed over a marble figure's grace, something shifted within him. Instead of deflecting, he simply said, "Thank you," with genuine appreciation. That small shift in energy created an opening. Within weeks, collectors began discovering his studio. His pieces, unchanged in their artistry but transformed by his acceptance, found homes one by one until his gallery stood empty, ready for new creations. The flow of abundance requires both giving and receiving to complete its circuit. Like breathing, you must inhale to exhale. When you accept a gift or acknowledgement with grace, you honor not only the giver, but the greater dance of exchange that sustains all life. Throughout your day, practice receiving with dignity and gratitude. When someone offers a compliment, resist the urge to diminish or deflect. Instead, take a deep breath and simply say, "Thank you," feeling the words resonate in your heart. Watch how doors begin to open, how opportunities multiply when you allow yourself to be a worthy receiver of life's generosity. As you walk through your days, let your hands remain gently open, neither grasping nor pushing away, but ready to participate in the sacred exchange of giving and receiving that forms the heartbeat of abundance. Say yes to kindness without shrinking. The practice is to let generosity move freely through you as evidence that abundance trusts your open hands. Rosa sat at her desk each evening, surrounded by detailed plans and schedules stretching months into the future. Her calendar bulged with color-coded notes. Yet happiness remained elusive, always waiting in some projected perfect moment ahead. She mapped each goal with precision, but missed the whispers of joy dancing in her peripheral vision. The soft glow of sunset touching her papers, the melodic rhythm of rain against her window. The truth rings clear as morning bells. The present moment is the only workshop where creation takes form. When you drift into endless planning, you exile yourself from the sacred space where manifestation occurs. Your power doesn't live in some imagined future. It breathes in the eternal now, where every thought ripples instantly through the field of infinite possibility. The present moment isn't a stepping stone to somewhere else. It's the fountainhead from which all transformation flows. When you fully inhabit the now, resisting nothing and grasping nothing, you align with the creative force that orchestrates galaxies. Your presence becomes the magnet that draws desired experiences into form. Vernonette discovered this wisdom through her violin. For years, she performed technically perfect pieces, her mind always racing ahead to the next measure, the audience's reaction, the reviews to come. But one evening, alone in her practice room, she simply closed her eyes and played for the pure joy of sound itself. In that moment of full presence, the music flowed through her with such beauty that tears streamed down her face. From then on, her performances transformed. Audiences were moved not by technical precision, but by the authentic expression of her soul fully present in each note. Throughout your day, gently guide your attention back to the living moment. Feel the texture of your breath, the weight of your body, the precise sensation of whatever you're touching. Let your awareness rest in the hum of existence that permeates everything. This isn't mere meditation. It's attunement to the creative pulse of the universe itself. The practice is to inhabit the now until the future rushes to join its peace. When you find yourself racing ahead in thought, pause, breathe, feel the aliveness in your hands, your heart, your being. Let this moment be enough. For in this space of pure presence, All possibilities already exist, waiting to be noticed by your awakened attention. The melody of stillness sings through the ages, as ancient as the stars themselves. Within its sacred depths lies a truth that Milani, a florist in a bustling marketplace, discovered through unexpected means. Each day she rushed between arrangements, phone calls, and deliveries, her emotions swirling like autumn leaves in a storm. Her anxiety painted every interaction, until exhaustion brought her to her knees one quiet afternoon. In that moment of surrender, she found herself sitting alone among her flowers, too tired even to worry. And in that space, that precious pocket of silence, something shifted. The chaos in her mind settled like dust after rain. She felt her vibration reset as naturally as an instrument finding its true tone. The teaching here unveils a fundamental law. Stillness is the great restorer. When your frequency tangles with worry or haste, silence offers the swiftest path back to harmony. It isn't the absence of sound, but the presence of pure potential, the canvas upon which all creation begins. Otis, a longtime delivery driver, stumbled upon this wisdom during his daily routes. Traffic and deadlines had woven tension into every muscle until one day, following an inner whisper, he began pulling his truck over for 5 minutes of complete quiet. No radio, no phone, no movement, just presence. Within a week, his world transformed. Green lights welcomed him at intersections. Clients greeted him with unexpected kindness. Perfect parking spots appeared precisely when needed. Even his fuel efficiency improved, as if the universe itself had begun orchestrating his journey. His story reveals how stillness acts as a reset button for your vibrational field. Like a pond settling after a storm, silence allows your natural state of alignment to emerge. What seems like doing nothing becomes the most powerful something, a conscious pause that realigns you with the cosmic dance. Before moving to action, gift yourself these sacred pauses between moments. Let silence become your sanctuary, a place where your energy naturally calibrates to its highest frequency. Listen deeply to the quiet, as though it were a sacred language spelling out your true name. Feel how each peaceful breath dissolves resistance and restores your natural state of flow. The practice calls you to embrace these moments of stillness as portals to power. Begin with 5 minutes daily, letting calm become your baseline state. As you rest in silence, feel yourself tuning to the frequency of peace that underlies all creation. This isn't meditation for its own sake, but a practical tool for energetic alignment, the simplest path back to your natural state of grace. In a small village where judgments lingered like morning mist, Abigail tended her garden with hands hardened by bitterness. Each plant she touched seemed to sense her pain, withering slightly beneath her troubled touch. Her world had shrunk to the size of her grievances, each memory a stone weighing down her spirit. The universal law speaks clearly on this matter. What you hold in your heart becomes the lens through which you view all of life. When resentment clouds your inner sky, even the brightest days appear dim. Your thoughts create resonant frequencies that either lift or lower your vibration, and forgiveness remains the master key that unlocks transformation. As you journey through life's intricate passages, remember that holding on to grievances is like carrying hot coals in your hands. You alone feel the burn. The energetic weight of unforgiveness creates resistance in the quantum field of possibility, blocking the very blessings seeking to reach you. The wisdom of ages whispers that liberation begins when you choose to release what no longer serves your highest good. Every grudge maintained becomes a wall between you and your desires. Every judgment held creates distance between you and joy. Byron, a beloved coach in his community, discovered this truth through his own journey of self-forgiveness. For years, he carried the burden of past mistakes like a heavy cloak. Until one morning, he realized his self-judgment had become a prison. In the quiet dawn of acceptance, he finally released his grip on old regrets. Within days, doors began opening. New clients appeared, opportunities emerged, and life responded with unexpected grace. His story mirrors an eternal truth. When you free yourself from the chains of judgment, whether directed at yourself or others, you shift into a higher frequency. This elevation in consciousness naturally attracts experiences that match your renewed state of being. The law remains constant. Your vibration creates your reality. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's spiritual power in its purest form. It transforms the heavy energy of resentment into the light touch of freedom, allowing new possibilities to emerge. When you forgive, you don't change the past. You change its power over your present. This alchemical act transmutes the lead of bitterness into the gold of wisdom, releasing bonds that once seemed unbreakable. Before sleep tonight, bring to mind someone or something that weighs upon your heart. Breathe deeply and imagine pure light flowing through this memory, like sunlight through stained glass. Feel the warmth of release melting away old hurt. Let each breath carry away the residue of resentment until only peace remains. The practice is to free yourself first, understanding that forgiveness is the ultimate frequency upgrade, lifting you into alignment with your highest good. The small bell in the village square chimed as Ada hurried past, clutching her collection of spiritual books. Her arms ached from carrying volumes of ancient teachings, metaphysical principles, and enlightened philosophies. Yet despite her dedicated study, true change remained elusive, hovering just beyond her grasp like morning mist. The law of attraction reveals its deepest secrets not through intellectual pursuit alone, but through living practice. Knowledge, while essential, serves merely as a seed. Without the water of daily application, even the most profound wisdom remains dormant. Each morning, Ada would recite affirmations and visualize her desires. Yet something felt mechanical in her approach. It wasn't until she began simply choosing joy in ordinary moments, while washing dishes, walking to market, or greeting neighbors, that her world began to shift. The transformation she sought arrived not through force, but through the gentle persistence of practiced positivity. In a quiet library across town, Franklin arranged books with methodical care. For years, he'd immersed himself in esoteric knowledge, memorizing passages about manifestation and universal laws. Yet his life remained unchanged until one morning when he decided to embody a single principle: thoughts create reality. Instead of shelving books about abundance, he began to feel abundant. Rather than reading about peace, he chose to emanate it. Soon, patrons remarked on the library's renewed energy. Children lingered longer, finding perfect books as if by magic. Adults discovered exactly what they needed, often in unexpected places. The library transformed not through Franklin's vast knowledge, but through his simple, sincere practice of truth. The universe responds not to what we know, but to what we become. When wisdom moves from the head to the heart, from concept to consciousness, reality rearranges itself accordingly. Your thoughts are like seeds scattered in fertile soil, but it's your consistent practice that provides the nurturing rain. Select one spiritual truth that resonates deeply. Rather than studying it further, live it fully for 7 days. Let it infuse your actions, color your responses, and guide your choices. Feel it becoming not just an idea, but your natural state. Watch as the universe mirrors back your embodied wisdom, transforming theory into living reality. Drop one word below that captures the energy you're choosing right now, your energetic signature to the quantum field. Let it be your declaration. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe not just to stay connected, but to stay coherent, to stay aligned with this frequency. The more of us who embody this truth, the more the world reflects that reality. We're building something here, a collective consciousness shift, one awakened soul at a time. Through these chapters, a sacred truth has quietly emerged, one that points not to distant horizons, but to the center of your own being. The secret of transformation reveals itself not as new knowledge to acquire, but as ancient wisdom to remember. You have always been both the dreamer and the dream. Each parable shared has served as a mirror, reflecting back your innate power to shape reality through consciousness. From Ada's journey of embodied wisdom to Franklin's transformation through simple practice, these stories illuminate the path that leads within. They remind you that transcendence doesn't require grand gestures or elaborate rituals. It flows naturally through your morning thoughts, your evening reflections, and every breath between. The transformation occurs when you choose awareness again and again. It happens in small moments, while washing dishes with gratitude, greeting strangers with warmth, or pausing to appreciate the sunlight dancing on your windowsill. As you've moved through these teachings, old patterns of limitation have gradually dissolved, replaced by an expanding field of possibility. Notice how synchronicities now appear more frequently in your life. Those magical moments of alignment that confirm your growing resonance with universal flow. These aren't coincidences, but confirmations that the universe has always been partnering with your deepest intentions. Your dedication to raising your vibration, your practice of heartfelt gratitude, your cultivation of unwavering trust, all of these have created new pathways for grace to enter. You've learned the subtle language of energy and emotion. You understand now that every thought sends ripples through the field of creation, that every feeling is a prayer made visible. The gratitude you've practiced has become your natural state, transforming ordinary moments into gateways of wonder. The trust you've developed has grown steady roots, allowing you to remain centered even as old frameworks fade and new possibilities emerge. If this video resonated with you, consider watching it again tomorrow morning. Let it recalibrate your frequency as you start your day. And if someone in your life is ready for this shift, share it with them. When you pass this forward, you're not just sharing content. You're creating an energetic ripple that reinforces your own alignment while opening doorways for another consciousness to remember. That act of sharing becomes part of your practice. Now that this wisdom has found you 48 hours before everything changes, simply keep being found. Let each moment reveal itself as another opportunity to choose love over fear, trust over doubt, allowance over resistance. Every heartbeat carries the potential for deeper awakening. Every breath invites you to remember who you truly are. The universe has been conspiring with your devotion all along, orchestrating the perfect conditions for your remembering. The secret of transformation lives in your willingness to recognize yourself as both the artist and the masterpiece of your own unfolding. You found this for a reason. The timing isn't random. Something in your reality is preparing to shift, and you're being given the tools, the frequency, the remembrance you need to move through that shift with grace. So breathe into this. Trust this. Know that the universe has been guiding you here all along. What you've touched here today is the foundation, but there's a final layer that completes this understanding. When you're ready to explore what it means to stop observing the field and actually become it, to move beyond consciousness techniques into living as consciousness itself, the next piece is waiting for you. The final level of awakening, becoming the field. It reveals how everything we've discussed here collapses into a single state of being, where manifestation becomes obsolete because you are the manifestation.